The sky over New Carthage had turned the color of bruised steel. Commander Aria Velasquez watched it from the broken observation deck of Fort Halberd, where the once proud banners of the Terran Union now hung in tatters. In the distance, beyond the jagged silhouette of ruined skyscrapers, the horizon flickered with unnatural lightning, the atmospheric discharge of alien landing craft burning through the last remnants of Earth's defenses. They were closing in. Again. Aria pressed her gloved hand against the cracked glass pane, feeling the faint vibration of artillery fire beneath her fingertips. It wasn't human artillery anymore. Humanity's guns had gone silent days ago. These tremors belonged to something else, heavy, methodical, and merciless. The Threxians, a species of towering biomechanical conquerors who had crossed the stars and erased entire civilizations before setting their gaze on Earth. And they were almost here. Behind her, the command center buzzed with subdued voices and flickering holo displays. A dozen exhausted officers worked at stations lit by emergency power. Every few seconds, another display winked out as another defense grid fell. Lieutenant Harrow cleared his throat. Commander, Orbital Watch just confirmed it. 3 more carriers entered low atmosphere. That makes 12 total. 12 carriers, each one capable of leveling continents. Aria closed her eyes. 12 carriers meant they no longer cared about capturing Earth. They were here to finish it. Civilian evacuation? She asked quietly. Harrow hesitated. Less than 3% reached the lunar shelters. Mars went dark last night. We don't know if anyone made it. Aria nodded slowly. She already knew. She had known the moment Mars' signal vanished, humanity's second home gone in an instant. She had lost friends there. Family. Everything. Her sister's face flashed in her mind. Elena, laughing beneath artificial Martian sunlight, promising they would see each other again when the war was over. There would be no after. Not unless something changed. A deep rumble shook the fortress. Dust drifted from the ceiling. A technician cried out as sparks burst from a failing console. The power flickered, dimmed, then stabilized. They've broken through the outer trench, Harrow said. Ground forces will reach the city perimeter within 2 hours. 2 hours until extinction. Aria turned from the window. Her voice steadied. Call all surviving commanders. Full briefing in 5 minutes. Harrow blinked. Ma'am, we're done reacting. It's time we remind them why humans are dangerous. The briefing room was small, crowded, and tense. 7 commanders appeared via HoloLink, some with bandaged faces, others seated in bunkers half buried under rubble. Each represented the last fragments of Earth's militaries. Once they had commanded fleets and armies. Now, they commanded pockets of resistance clinging to life. Aria stood at the head of the table. A star map hovered above it, centered on Earth. Around it, icons representing Threxian ships pulsed like red wounds. We've lost orbit, she began. We've lost Mars. We've lost the Atlantic defense ring. If we continue as we are, Earth will fall within the day. No one interrupted. They already knew. But humanity is not done, Aria continued. She tapped a control. The map shifted, zooming deep beneath Earth's crust. A new icon glowed far below the mantle, a hidden installation. Project Deep Arc, she said. Several commanders stiffened. That facility was built in secret 15 years ago, Aria said. Its purpose was not defense. It was survival. General Okoye frowned. The seed vault. The seed vault. The genetic libraries. The AI cores. And the arc drives. Silence settled over the room. Admiral Renshaw leaned forward. Commander, you're suggesting we abandon Earth. Aria met his gaze. I'm suggesting we ensure humanity lives. Deep Arc contains a fleet of sublight generation ships, crewed by volunteers, stored with embryos, DNA libraries, culture archives, history, everything that makes us human. If launched, they will scatter to distant star systems. They will carry humanity beyond extinction. Okoye's voice was tight. You can't be serious. That's surrender. No, Arya said. It's defiance. The Thruxians believe conquest ends when resistance ends. We will prove them wrong. Even if Earth dies today, humanity will rise tomorrow somewhere else. Renshaw shook his head slowly. Deep Arc requires a manual launch. The AI failsafes require human authorization at the core facility. Arya nodded, which is beneath Fort Halberd. The realization settled over the group. Harrow spoke softly beside her. Ma'am, the Thruxians are 2 hours away. Arya smiled grimly. Then we have 2 hours to ensure the future. The descent into Deep Arc took Arya and her team through ancient tunnels bored miles into bedrock. The lift shaft rattled as emergency lights streaked past. The deeper they went, the quieter the war became, until the world above felt like a dream. At the bottom, colossal doors of reinforced alloy opened into a cavern the size of a city. Within it lay 12 massive vessels, sleek, dark, and waiting. Each one was a starship built not for war, but for hope. Engineers and scientists rushed between consoles, startled but ready. They had been living here for years, preparing for a day they prayed would never come. Dr. Yelena Ibarra approached Arya. Commander, you've made the decision. Yes, Arya said. Initiate launch protocol. All arcs. Immediately. Ibarra's eyes glistened. Once launched, there is no return. Arya glanced at the ships. She imagined children yet unborn walking alien worlds under foreign suns, speaking languages descended from Earth's tongues, remembering humanity's origin as a half-mythic cradle lost to history. It's time, Arya said. Alarm sounded. Consoles lit. The cavern filled with a low hum as the arc drives awakened for the first time. Then Harrow's voice crackled through her earpiece. Ma'am, Thruxian ground forces have breached Fort Halberd. They'll reach the shaft in minutes. Arya closed her eyes. Understood. She turned to Ibarra. Launch sequence cannot be interrupted? No, Ibarra said. Once begun, it will complete automatically. But someone must remain here to authorize final ignition in 10 minutes. Arya stepped forward. Harrow grabbed her arm. Ma'am, no. You can still board one of the ships. Arya looked at him. Young. Terrified. Human. I've had my life, she said gently. Humanity needs yours more than mine. Harrow swallowed hard. Then I'm staying too. Arya smiled. No. You're going to live. That's an order. Security officers escorted Harrow toward one of the arcs, protesting every step. Arya watched him go. Then she turned back to the control dais. She walked alone to the central console. The holo display counted down. 9 minutes. Above them, the war raged closer. The ceiling trembled as explosions echoed through stone. Arya placed her hand on the authorization plate. It scanned her biometrics. Commander Arya Velasquez. The system intoned. You are authorized. Final ignition will commence upon countdown completion. Arya exhaled slowly. She had thought she'd lost everything. Her family, her home, her world. But she had not lost humanity. The Thruxians arrived at the doors of Deep Arc 5 minutes later. Arya heard them before she saw them. Metallic footfalls, the grinding growl of biomechanical voices, the screech of plasma cutters biting into steel. The doors groaned. Sparks cascaded. The fortress that had protected humanity's last hope for years finally began to fail. She didn't move. She stood at the console, watching the countdown. For minutes. The doors burst inward. A wave of towering figures poured into the cavern, black armor gleaming, eyes glowing like furnace coals. Their leader stepped forward, towering over Arya like a walking war engine. Human, it said, its voice layered with synthetic distortion. Your species' resistance ends now. Arya met its gaze. No, she said quietly. It begins. The Threxian raised an arm to strike. Soldiers behind it lifted weapons. 2 minutes. The Ark ship's engines roared to life. The cavern shook as anti-gravity fields ignited. Dust spiraled upward in swirling columns. The Threxian hesitated, confused. What have you done? Arya smiled. One day, she said, your species will look up at the stars and wonder where humanity went. And one day after that, we'll come back. 1 minute. Energy built around the Ark ships, their hulls shimmering as space-time began to bend around them. The Threxian roared and charged. 30 seconds. Arya closed her eyes. She thought of Elena, of blue skies, of oceans, of laughter, of everything Earth had been. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. The Threxian's claws pierced her armor. Pain blossomed. She did not scream. 4, 3, 2, 1. The cavern exploded in light. When the brilliance faded, Deep Ark was gone. 12 ships, each carrying the essence of humanity, had vanished into the void, leaping toward distant stars, toward futures unknown. The Threxians stood amid smoking ruins, their conquest complete. Earth's last stronghold had fallen. The human commander lay still at the shattered console. The alien leader surveyed the destruction. Earth is silent, it declared. Humanity is extinct. But far beyond the ruins of Sol, 12 lights burned in the darkness. 12 arcs traveling toward distant systems, carrying survivors and unborn generations. On one ship, Lieutenant Harrow stood at a viewport, watching the starfield stretch into infinity. He whispered a vow into the void. They thought they won, he said. They have no idea what they've started, because humanity was not gone. Humanity was coming. And one day, the stars would remember the name. HFY. The Threxian warlord stood over the ruined console for a long moment, its molten eyes reflecting the dying sparks of destroyed human technology. Around it, its soldiers scanned the cavern. No life signs, no movement, only silence and cooling stone. Confirm planetary sweep, it ordered. Another Threxian stepped forward. Surface resistance has ceased. No orbital signals. No underground transmissions. The warlord's voice carried a tone of finality. The species called human is no more. It turned away, satisfied, already calculating the next system to conquer. Above, on the surface of Earth, the sky burned red as the last cities fell. Oceans boiled. Forests turned to ash. The cradle of humanity, once vibrant and alive, became a scarred world drifting quietly around a yellow star. To the galaxy, Earth was now just another dead world, another trophy, another warning. But the galaxy was vast, and it did not know what had escaped. Years passed, then decades, then centuries. On one of the Ark ships, Ark 12, Dawnbreaker, children ran through wide steel corridors beneath artificial skylights. They laughed beneath simulated blue skies, chasing each other through fields of engineered grass. Teachers told them stories of Earth, of oceans, of rain, of mountains tall enough to pierce the heavens. Most of them had never seen a real planet, but they carried one inside their hearts. Lieutenant Harrow, now Captain Harrow, older, gray at the temples, stood before a classroom of students. On the wall behind him glowed a hologram of a small blue world. "This," he said, "was where we began. It was beautiful, and one day we will build another." A child raised her hand. "Sir, what happened to the people who saved us?" Harrow smiled softly. "They stayed behind so we could be here. We remember them. That's how they live on." The child looked at the image of Earth. "Will we ever go back?" Harrow's eyes drifted to the viewport beyond the classroom. Outside, a new star burned brighter than Sol ever had. "We're not going back," he said. "We're going forward." On the command deck of Dawnbreaker, a woman stood watching the destination system draw closer. She was young, wearing the uniform of a newly founded fleet, the first navy of a reborn humanity. On her collar gleamed a small silver insignia, a stylized phoenix rising from flame. Commander Elena Velasquez, named after the sister who never lived to see the Ark launch. She turned as an officer approached. "Commander," he said, "we've completed planetary scans. The world below is stable. Atmosphere breathable. Water present. No intelligent life detected." Elena nodded. "Then we begin." Outside, the Ark ships descended toward the waiting world, 12 titanic vessels carrying the hopes of a species that had refused to die. Shuttles launched. Terraforming arrays unfolded. The first human boots touched alien soil beneath a rising sun. Somewhere in the New World's sky, children would one day look up and see stars, and among them, a small yellow light, far away. A star called Sol. A tomb. A memory. A promise. And deep in interstellar space, long after the Threxian Empire had moved on to other wars, other conquests, other victims, a new signal began to spread. Human-made. Sharp. Unmistakably alive. A warning whispered into the dark. Humanity survived. Humanity adapts. Humanity returns. Because the aliens had believed the story was over. But they had only witnessed the end of the beginning. HFY.